built in.
It's the automatic aspect.
It really is. It's so bad, especially when I like work and I travel for work and I'm somewhere else, especially in the South. People are like, "Oh, are you from New York?" Yeah, we don't cuss down here. I'm like, all right, well.
Are you native New Yorker?
I am actually. Yep. Yeah, I'm born and raised in Queens. But I guess I watched a lot of like news programs from the Midwest. Because I have that like very neutral accent.
Is that anchor voice?
Exactly. Like, yes, coming to you tonight. Except everyone, I mean, like, obviously I'm not going to say coffee. It's coffee, you know.
It's coffee.
That's what it is.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee. I don't know if now I'm starting to think it. Coffee.
I know. Once you think about it, it's just ruined.
I would like a cup of coffee. Coffee. There we go. Coffee.
Yeah. Coffee.
Well,
talk.
see, I'm New England by default.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Connecticut. So
okay.
I was raised not really thinking about accents. So whenever somebody had one, it would really hit hard. Like it would really be different. Because again, in Connecticut, I guess everyone sort of expects it to sound a little bit more like Martha Stewart, but even Martha Stewart doesn't technically have a Connecticut accent. But it is I'm gonna fuck up now that I've said it, but usually my diction is very pronounced, and that is because when I was younger, I was trying to be like understood better.
Oh, okay.
And, it's not that I had like an impediment or anything, but I wanted to be very clear, and I thought that that's how one did it. So I paid attention to all that, and then people would ask me in school like what my accent was, and I'm like, it's not an accent. What are you talking about?
I'm just, accentuating. Exactly. It's enunciation. Before we joined choirs. You I guess you have a head start on the deal, right?
a touch. Yeah, no, and I never learned like linguistics or anything like that, so I don't know a diphthong from a
Yeah, neither do I.
Any except what I learned from Pygmalion and My Fair Lady.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if that counts.
I guess it depends. It probably counts in certain circles, I would assume. Fortunately, you travel in those circles, so
yes, theatricals, yes.
It comes in handy.
This is We-Boo-lesque, the podcast. I am your host, Viktor Devonne, and I've been chatting thusly with Sweet and Low, who is a performer, entertainer, singer, chanteuse in New York City.
Hello, everyone.
Which borough specifically, may I ask?
Queens. So I was born and raised in Queens, and for a brief time after college, I moved to Brooklyn because that's back when it was still cheap to live in Brooklyn, or at least certain parts. Park Slope was never affordable. We all know that. Well, maybe in the 80s, but everything was a trash fire at that point. So, so I lived in Flatbush for I want to say 5 or 6 years. Actually, the start of my burlesque career, I was living in Flatbush. Okay. I remember buying my shitty $100 Target, brother sewing machine at the Target at Atlantic Avenue on my way home. So, yeah. Fond memories.
Well, I met you before White Elephant started his residency, or at least maybe on the cusp, because I met you in Coney Island.
Okay, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. That was a really long time ago. Oh, my God, yeah.
And you were chopping off heads, basically.
Yes, that's right. Mostly pretty princess heads. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
I think they get a pass, and it's my job to sort of take that back. Yeah, well, act. Yeah, go ahead.
For the audience at home, just in case the world is in asunder, it is November 2nd, 2020 that we're speaking, which means that tomorrow is election day, and no matter what happens, November is going to be a rough month. It's going to be a rough month. It's going to be a rough couple months because our incumbent or our present day, president is a giant child. and he will somehow fuck with us for the rest of the year into next.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wins, he is going to be even more smug and more reckless than I think he ever was. That's going to be rough.
Yeah, it's going to really suck. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I've been talking to one of my coworkers, and she's just been like on the positivity train. She's like, I just have to believe that,
One has
he's
to
not
hope,
going to
yeah.
get reelected. And I was like, yeah, I really appreciate that. But also, like, never underestimate the stupidity of the American voting public. Like,
well, the stupidity and the invitation to be terrible. Because
yes.
I've maintained, and I don't want to make it into like a dissertation, but I've maintained that Trump is a symptom. He doesn't have any loyalty to one side. So it really can't be that he's this, conquering villain, because in the same way as someone who is far more calculated and far
Right.
more, I don't actually know if he has any scruples, but therefore I don't know if he has any principles. And I think to be evil, you don't necessarily have to, want people to die, but you definitely have to be okay with it.
Yes. I agree with that. That is good. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So
but unfortunately, his followers, I think, are the true evil, and he's just playing into it.
because I think ultimately he's gonna do whatever he figures out will,
the wind,
let him,
however the wind will go. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, whatever can keep him in power or getting more money or either or. I honestly think he only really cares about money.
That and being talked about.
Yeah, and being talked about. Yeah. There may be a small part of his brain that realizes that, like, he bears the risk of being indicted if he's no longer president. But I honestly don't even think he's thinking that far. Like, I just think that we give him way too much credit. I think he just...
Yeah, no, he doesn't think ahead. I don't know. No. I don't think he thinks ahead. But again, it's people, the pandemic isn't going to go away. The followers aren't going to go away. And the people who look beyond his, cruelty are still going to be here too. So it's up to a lot of us to sort of live in whatever hellscape it maintains.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like,
speaking,
yeah, go ahead.
No, please.
No, it's like anytime anybody asks me, you have like normal interactions every day or in work. Like I work at a publishing company, and it's my job to sort of like reach out to new authors or prospective authors and, try to get them to write books for my evil corporation. No, not necessarily. It's not as evil. We're like number 2 evil. I'm not going to say who we are, but not as evil as some, while still making a profit, right? America. So I've been doing these like phone calls from my living room, and you email someone and you're like, hey, how are you? How's it going? And everyone all says, great. And it's like, well, great within the context of the fact that,
as
the
well
world
as can be expected.
Collapsing. Exactly. It's collapsing around us, or, perhaps people in other countries who pay more attention to the state of the world are expecting this kind of shit. But the rest of us Americans are like, hey, the world is hard. What's happening?
Well, and that's going to be the sort of the rallying realization in folks who are suddenly now uncomfortable, because they're going to suddenly realize or maybe not realize, but they're going to be at least in the same boat as everyone else who has been uncomfortable for decades and centuries.
Exactly.
So it's the do-nothings are finally like, oh, I'm uncomfortable. Maybe I should do something. And unfortunately, we got to rely on that.
Yeah.
I say that as if I don't also, have my leanings, but I like to consider myself as agitated as possible.
Like #2020, as agitated as possible. Yes.
So before we dive into your past and your history and where you hail from
Sure.
and your origin, how he said knowingly, how has your 2020 been?
Oh my God. So my 2020 has been like a huge steaming bowl of shit, but not in like any of the normal ways that like other people are experiencing. Thank God my job has been relatively stable. I'm knocking on wood right now. Like I said, I work in publishing. I can work at home, sit on my ass, still be theoretically as productive, if not a little bit more, because I don't have a commute. So
Sure.
it actually worked out a little bit better in the hellscape. But yeah, in March, my mom got COVID and was in the hospital for 6 weeks and almost died, but she's not dead. So I feel like it's better than it could have been. I also got COVID, but it was mild. But it turns out that it might have exacerbated some health injuries or health issues I didn't know I have. So right now, listeners, this is fun because I've been trying to be on Viktor's podcast for the last month. But every time he would text me, I was in the emergency room or in the hospital. Because it turns
Really
out
good. It's a really good excuse. No one can be mad at you for that.
I know, right? It's like, I'm sorry, I'm in a hospital bed. No, I have some really annoying old ladies in my room and they're very loud and I can't do a podcast right now is what's happening. But yeah, due to some combination of my mild COVID, the fact that I've been working at home and not walking as much as I usually do, and the fact that I'm a woman who's been on oral contraceptives, I have hilarious amounts of blood clots in my legs and lungs. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. Yeah, DVT and pulmonary embolism 2020 for Miss Sweet and Low. But like we caught it early and I'm on medication and it's being managed, which is like the thing. I mean, could be worse, but could be a lot better.
Were you heavily symptomatic?
Yeah. So I thought my calf had been bothering me for quite about a week. Being over 30 and attempting to work out is, just reveling in my old age and hurting myself while doing like workouts from an app. But on the day that I ended up in the ER, my leg was like twice the size it should have been and red and angry. And I went to urgent care and the doctor took one look at my leg and was like, nope, you have a blood clot. You need to go to the ER right now. So I did. And they admitted me. I was there for 2 days. And then they put me on some blood thinners, which didn't work. So I went back to the hospital where they found out that I had a pulmonary embolism, and they admitted me for a week and just put me on IV blood thinners and heavier medication. So, yeah, it was a pain in the ass, but like I said, I'm out and like trying to manage it. So yeah, but did not have that on my quarantine bingo card. Did not know that was going to happen.
I mean, we've had a few colleagues who have gone to the hospital during all of this, whether for COVID or for not. What was your experience like? Had you been to the hospital before? And was it something of a more, I mean, I imagine it's far more of a cleaning and distant and odd experience.
Yes, it is. So the emergency room, I mean, basically it's just kind of like anytime you go inside, but they do I don't know. They do what is technically acceptable as a COVID screening, like without getting invasive. They take your temperature with the little gun thing and they give you the questionnaire, like, have you been exposed to COVID? Have you traveled to, 3 states away? Do you live with anyone who has had a positive COVID test? So they take your temperature. If you don't have a fever, it's good. And like, if you answer no to all the questions, it's good. But that's, I mean, you could be lying, You
could be lying. And also there are people who are asymptomatic.
Yeah, exactly. And so
what that means though, is you may not even know that they are sick. So, and you can live with them or what have you. Yeah.
Exactly. But, everyone in the hospital, all of the nursing and doctor staff, I mean, even the guy who, mops up the floors, like everyone is wearing at least two N95s. And like most people in the hospital actually have goggles or face shields. Like they are not taking any chances at all. So it was okay. They also have like walk-in rapid testing for people who are, I guess, either at high risk or like have to travel or do something that requires a negative COVID test. So they go into a separate area. But yeah, basically nobody is allowed in the ER with you. I guess unless you like cannot, support yourself or you need an interpreter or something like that. Okay. So it's basically you just go in by yourself and everybody is masked up and gloved up and, but then they have to like take your temperature. So you've got to take your mask off to put the thermometer in. So like, it's a weird thing, but yeah, I was in the hospital for a full week and I wore a mask all day, every day. Like I slept in it. It's just what everybody's doing. Yeah. They're at least at the hospital I was at, they're obviously separating positive COVID cases. Like they have a whole wing. And everything else, like business as usual hospital is, everybody is encouraged to mask. And the visitors, you're only allowed 2 visitors a day and only not at the same time. It has to be separate and they have to get screened as well. So it's actual policy trying to protect people's health. So it's good. But yeah, it was a little bit weird. I'm very fortunate to not, this is like my first hospital adventure. Okay. So I really don't know what is normal. But yeah, it just seemed like everybody was a little bit more covered up than usual.
Well, I'm glad you got out. And
yeah, me too.
In terms of the embolism, did they think that was related in that you were more susceptible?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a growing number of cases of especially young people who were exposed to COVID who are coming up with blood clots, because that's not usually a thing that, young people, I say that being, in my late 30s, but relatively speaking.
You're young.
So yeah,
I'm
I don't
in
know.
My late 30s. We're young.
Exactly. We're so young. We're immortal. And yeah, it's great. But yeah, that's why I was fully prepared for like the doctor to tell me like, oh, I see. You're attempting, physical fitness in your late 30s. What a fool. Just put some ice on it. It'll get better. And then they were like, no, actually your body's trying to kill you. Go to the hospital right now. So that was my fun surprise. So yeah, it's great. So yeah, that was October. That was great. I'm kind of done with that. But yeah, so and now it's election. It's just like they just keep on coming, right?
I know.
That's the thing. That's the worst part.
That's been sort of the theme, hasn't it?
Yes, exactly. And not that I'm like one of these people who's always like, well, I can face anything with a drink in my hand, but because of my medication, I cannot drink alcohol. So like I can't even just make a cocktail and go to bed early on election night. Like that's not in my future. So I'm gonna have to white knuckle life sober. Like what even is that? I don't know. We're about to find out, kids. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
So in the long times ago, before yes. all of this,
in the before,
were you someone who found entertaining and singing and dancing to be your future, as it were?
I would say like not my only future, but yes, a significant part of my life. So for a variety of reasons, not necessarily, I mean, okay, so I'm just saying like prepositions now and phrases, but I'm not a full-time burlesque performer or singer or dancer, etc. I'm happy with my day job, and I like that a steady income allows me to buy lots of rhinestones and occasionally, get up in front of an audience and sing a show tune. And that's like a good balance for me. I think there was probably a time where I hoped it could be more, but that was probably in my 20s. And I was like, yeah, everybody can do this. It's totally easy. And I'm just going to be full-time showgirl and that's fine. And then I was like, oh no, wait, that shit is hard. Let's just do it part-time for now.
But were you a song and dance kid?
Yeah. No, I was a frustrated song and dance kid. I was like a kid who grew up watching musicals and stuff because that was like what my mom loved. But like my parents were also steadfastly never going to be like Mama Rose. They were like, children should have childhoods, and like maybe if we can afford dance lessons, that's something you could do, but it can't be your whole life. You have to have a life. Like, all right, well, thanks a lot for making that decision for me, I guess. So like, yeah, I took dance when I was a kid, right through high school when like I became a super like nervous about my grades type person, and then I was like, it's gotta be one or the other, and I can't just like spend 5 hours a week at the dance studio. So yeah, I focused on academics and like gave myself a nervous breakdown years later, but that's fine. But yeah, picked it up back in college. I mean, I was always in choirs, school choir, church choir, one and the same. And then when I got out of college, I started taking voice lessons. So like I've always been trying to do something. Yeah, and then I think it was 2007, I found out that burlesque was a thing. And I went to a show at the Bowery Poetry Club, RIP, which is no longer a thing. It was a badass burlesque show, Velocity Chyaldd. I got the last seat because I didn't have I just walked up. I didn't have a reservation. I got the last seat at the bar, sat there the whole night and was just like, saw all these sparkly people. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be one of those. and like, that was it. The next, couple of years, I took some burlesque classes with Joe Weldon, of course, the godmother of New York City burlesque, as you do. And then I was like, yeah, I want to do this as much as I can. And, I've been trying to. So it's really interesting for me to realize that there was a lot of like putting yourself out there instead of like just being picked from the chorus line.
It's a lot of cattle calls and unofficial cattle calls, going to shows, introducing yourself, being present, sending emails, honing, basically.
Yeah. So I guess I didn't realize that, or like it was wishful thinking. It's like, well, I'm cute and like I can sing, so people are gonna want me to be in their shows. It's like, no, bitch, you have to work. So it took me a couple of years to figure that out. And for some reason, I know it's like Facebook is a trash fire, but like the New York City Burlesque Facebook group is good for castings and like who's having drama and what's going on. So I was not aware of that Facebook page for probably like 3 years into my burlesque career. And then once I found that it existed, I was like, oh shit, this is where everyone's talking to each other. This is good too. So
I mean, in a manner of speaking, there are some folk who completely avoid it entirely because of
absolutely
what can happen. But I mean, you throw enough type A personalities and enough type B personalities into a mix, and it's insane. Like it's helpful on the one hand, but it's also a trash fire. And I just lurk on it. I'm like, ooh, who's not talking to who this month? Well, I'm curious. Know. I the running joke is I have a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Oh my God. I definitely believe that about you, actually, because you're a moderator of that, aren't you? Or
I'm a moderator of the producer and the regular one. Yes. Okay. Even though technically I'm not in the New York scene anymore.
Right.
As regularly. The plan was to go back and forth, but with everything going on, I'm not sure when I'm heading back east, frankly.
Yeah, but, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like Escape from New York out there. Although, I don't know. I mean, like, I heart my anarchist jurisdiction. Like, bitch, Queens is the same. Like, we're all just drinking outside now. It's not like, that's it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe crime is up, but like my ass is in my living room sending emails. Like, I don't know. I don't go anywhere. So yeah.
So when you are looking at shows and seeing where you fit in, how would you describe what you do as a performer, your niche, your style, your inspirations?
Oh yeah, okay. So I would say it's evolved over the years. I think when I started burlesque, I used to go a lot to the nerd burlesque shows, and I was very geeky. I mean, I still am, but like I was being geek as a lifestyle choice for like a long time in the early like 2010s. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a nerd lesker. And then I found out that I don't well, I like nerdlesque. I like watching other people do nerdlesque, but it's very involved, and like in order to like cosplay correctly and just like be faithful to the properties that you are doing an homage of, I think it took a little bit more time and money than I thought it was going to. I don't know, like I especially starting out when I didn't really know how to
It's an
sew.
investment, yeah.
Yeah, and I just like I was working, I was like a couple of rungs down on the corporate ladder and making like absolutely shit money. So I was like, well, I can't really take the time to, learn how to like make my own cosplay armor right now. Like I was like, maybe.
You gotta love that character. Like whatever you're
Yeah,
portraying, you have to love it.
exactly. Yeah. And like so one of my first acts is I made a Hermione Granger act because I was like a number one Harry Potter train all the way. I wrote my college thesis on Harry Potter. Yeah. In my defense, it was 2005. And
Oh no, it's understood.
Yeah.
No, understood.
Yeah. So like I made a cute little Harry Potter act, and it's cute. Like it's cute. And it's obviously like one of my first acts. But still it still held up until like this year.
Well, one of the
Yeah.
2020
So I'm like,
casualties.
yeah. Like let's not do Turfy McTurfface intellectual property anymore. So that's I don't know.
Well, if it helps, she doesn't make any money off of it.
It's true. It is very true. And it's been so long since I actually spent any money on upkeeping that act. So, I was like, I like props. That's a part of my style, even if it's not nerdlesque. Even when I'm like singing and stripping, like there's gonna be a box or a book, like some visual aid. And I don't know specifically where that comes from. Maybe it's just I don't know. I think it's just like, all right, well, burlesque is comedic and I'm just going to be up there with a sight gag going like, ha.
Well, the first time I saw you, you had a head. You had.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That act is ridiculous and I love it. I created that act in a Get Your Act Together class with Jezebel Express. And I was actually, so there were two weirdos in that class. I was with Tiger Bay in that class. There were the two of us. Yes. And everybody else is like rhinestones, glamour, pop music. And like, here's me with my severed head. And here's Tiger Bay with that cape with all the kittens in it that she throws at the audience. Yeah, crazy cat lady. So Jezebel is sitting there. She's like, yeah, you know what? Those are artistic choices. Like, good for you. And I was like, yep, this is who I'm going to be. So yeah, I would say like comedic ridiculousness on one end of the spectrum and like just really just like theater geeky show tune rhinestone sparkle on the other end. Like that there's in the last couple of years when I realized, I'm only good for like making one or two new acts a year, like probably going to be singing because I like to sing. And I'm good at it. So I figured that's kind of my niche. So,
I can't some of your go-to songs.
So let's see, what is okay, so yeah, I would say like it's either like jazz standards or just like Broadway shit. So I have an act to Get Out of Town by Cole Porter, which is actually at the low end of my vocal range, which is a lot of fun for me because I'm usually like soprano, like in the choir, castrati type shit. So And that's fun too. I have stuff that I sing that I've never stripped to. Like I like the operatic version of Summertime, even though I'm a little white girl, but it's really good for my voice. So I could just do that and blast it out of the park, and then go home. But I also I sing I Don't Know How to Love Him from Jesus Christ Superstar as a Cthulhu cultist. In a robe. There may be some tentacles. There's definitely some tentacles. So yeah, it's weird shit like that, and that's why I'm so happy that like D20 burlesque exists, because I know I can do shit like that there. And people will let me do it. Yeah, and I think one of the last things I did at your show, I did like an 19th century like operetta piece with my little like $10 Marie Antoinette wig that I bought in Seattle's gay district like 5 years ago. I bought it and I carted it home because I was like, I will never ever get a wig this cheap again.
You during our time at Rock Bar, you ran the gamut, because you had that, you did the head act, and also you were like cute as a cupcake, basically, as a sweet and low pack, and like, so this, it really showed a great versatility, I would say.
Yes, but always stupid, and that's like that's the bottom line. It's gotta be stupid.
That would be the title of this episode, but I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea.
Right? Oh, it's great. Yeah, I remember when I got the idea to do the Sugar Packet Act, and I was posting on Twitter, and I was like, this is going to be the greatest and stupidest idea I've ever had. And everyone was like, yeah, do it. That's right. Yeah, so that was fun. And I will say, like, that act, it's definitely a work in progress, because it started out as like, it was supposed to be, I don't know if it started out as a dress, and then I was like, well, what if it actually looks like a sugar packet? And then we had this period of like wire, like it was nothing in the middle, but it was just wire, a wire frame with glitter, not glitter, the spandex. What's the word I'm thinking of? Like shimmery spandex over it.
Okay.
And that was okay, like as long as the wire was in the right position, but dancing like kind of moved the wire a little bit. And then I went to my local fabric store in Astoria that's only open when the guy who owns the store feels like opening. So it's sort of like you take, and this is a very Queens thing, especially Astoria. It's like on Sundays during the summer, it's like, oh no, we're closed. It's vacation. Like what? This isn't actually Greece, but it might be. So yeah, I walked by one day, they were open, and they had a roll of like foam, and I was like, oh shit, I can put that in my costume and maybe it will actually stand up. And it worked. It worked. But yeah, it was a lot of re-sewing, and I have like a spatial awareness challenge thing, despite all of my many gifts. When I'm sewing something, the idea that you have to like do it backwards and inside out just like totally fucks with my brain. And I have sewed things on the wrong side, and the seam ripper is my best friend. So yeah, that was a challenge, but I like it. Yeah, it's fun.
In terms of the sweet and low packet and things like that, like the viewers at home listeners at home can't see, but you have a pink pillow, you have a pink wall. I think I see pink lights.
Yeah.
Is pink a recurring hue in your life?
So pink is like something that I started to reclaim a couple of years ago, once I realized that like really obnoxious hot pink was also a punk color. Because when I grew up, it was the early 80s, and like, you know, big fluffy dresses with crinoline was still a thing that like parents did to their girl children. And my room growing up was pink. It was pink. It was Pepto-Bismol pink. It was like this nasty shag carpet thing, but like I was the girl, so I was gonna have all pink shit. And then when I began to like make money and dress myself, I was like, pink is not a thing I'm into. That's kind of gross. We'll leave that in the past. And then probably, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago, I started getting into punk, and I saw like all this obnoxious like leopard print, zebra print, like lime green, hot pink. And I was like, oh, actually, you know what? That's kind of fun. So yeah, we're in a transition period right now in my my bedroom, but I still do have some pink accents. So yeah, that's my are they fairy lights, as the Brits would say. So that's there. And I do, yeah. This is from so we have a theme in my living room that was like divine pink flamingos. So that's the other pink as well. So these are my old couch pillows, but they're kind of like gross right now with the holes that like the dog chewed in them. So now they're bedroom pillows. But yeah, I don't know. It was just like a happy accident, I guess. But yeah, there's still some pink in my life.
Well, I always liked because the Sweet and Low is, and because you go by Low for short. And I think that it's a lot of fun because you can still have a lot of fun with it. So I've always wondered, and she's like, no one is her equal. It's Sweet and Low. Like I want like that kind of like,
I love it.
A little wordplay.
and thanks to producers like you who will totally go with it. It's great.
She is the Splenda in the glass.
I love it. I do have to credit Anja Keister for my tagline though. She's the one who gave that to me.
What is it?
The siren of sucralose. The siren. But yes, no one is her equal. I love it. Just keep them coming. Bad puns, yes, they feed me.
Well, I'll try to, but it may have to be granule.
You guys can't see, but we're just sitting here with our mouths open.
It's that joke dog picture.
Yes, the joke dog. Oh God, I love the joke dog.
Hey, this is Victor, and I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters: Joyce, Andrea, Alex, Bo Bridges, Amy, Dollbody, Princess Chris, Ruthless Retribution, Drew, Kelly Blue, Stormageddon, and Rob. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you would like to be one of those fabulous people that are supporting the pod and all my adventures, please go to patreon.com/We-Boo-lesque. Thank you.
PonyPod, a traveling performers podcast. If you like hearing from traveling performers, please subscribe and leave 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm your host, Miss Mary Jane Green, the Treasure Tent Teaser. You can find me on the main social media platforms or by joining my mailing list at missmaryjanegreen.com. In the immortal words of Jack Kerouac, nothing behind me, everything ahead of me, as is ever so, on the road.
Well,
That's perfect.
I wanna thank you for taking some time and your health finally sorting you into our communication. I do want to give you an opportunity, since you missed the Halloween season and you weren't able to be featured on the Ghost Stories segments. If you were interested, I'd love to hear your ghost story, since you said you had one.
Cool. Yeah. So my ghost story is, I don't know, it's like typical bullshit for my life. So I have been with my partner for 7 years, and we started living together about a year into the relationship. So like longer time frame than lesbians, but you know, you got to do what you got to do. And after he moved in, I don't remember if it was before, if I knew about this before we started living together, or it was like some stuff started happening and then he explained about it. But he was like, "Oh, did I tell you that I have a ghost that just kind of hangs around with me?" And I'm like, "A what?" He was like, "Yeah, no, so like, you know how like most people have like a guardian angel, or if they're into that kind of thing. Well, mine's like a scary dead guy named Bob, and like he's been with me since I was a kid. I just found out one day that I could see him, and like he knew that I could, and like, yeah, he just hangs out with me, and like I don't know if it's a protection thing or just sort of like, well, I have this scary dog that just kind of like makes sure that nobody fucks with me. He's like, but as long as he knows that like you're with me, it's not an issue. And I'm like, oh, all right, that's perfect. That's totally fine. I'm fine with that. So one night I woke up in the middle of the night, and so it was like that thing where you're like half asleep and half awake, and you think that you see something out of the corner of your eye. So I could have sworn that it was like Bob coming through the bedroom door. And he has like, he's very standardly spooky. Like he has like a long like black coat and a hat and looks kind of like creepy. Apparently he's from early America, I think. So not quite Pilgrim, but like thereabouts, when people used to wear hats and stuff like that every day.
Colonial.
Yeah, colonial, exactly. So yeah, so he was just like chilling in the doorway, and it was like 3:00 in the morning, and I was like freaked out and tired, and I just looked at him, went, "Can you not?" And then just went back to sleep. And then like that was the last time that happened. I just told him to fuck off, and I told my partner the next day, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly how you should handle that." So I'm like, all right, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. Like and then there's two parts to the story. So about a year after that, my partner's kid was staying with us in the living room, and he, like their whole family is like wooed up to like the top. Like they're all like mediums, and they can see shit and they can hear shit, and like I usually don't. But I guess it's going to happen. So while they were staying with us, our TV kept turning itself on and off by itself. At first, I thought that it was like an electrical problem and just a cheap TV, because God even knows where this TV came from. But it was like, again, a situation where it happened for about 2 weeks. And after the kid left, I just got up one night, because it was like 4:00 in the morning. The TV turned itself on, and I like slam my hand on the button, because also our remote doesn't work. So you have to get up and turn it off. So it was a pain in the ass. So I just slammed the button, and I was like, "Can you just please fuck off with that? Like I'm done," And it never happened again. So I was just like, maybe this was like a weird electrical short situation, but like it also coincided when like, you know, my partner's like angsty teenage kid was like sleeping on the couch and seeing ghosts in the living room. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe it was a thing. But yeah, I'm on high alert. I'm like, just fuck off. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. And
That's
like
sort of
that,
how
there will be the peace.
That's a lot of times how I feel, is generally speaking, I acknowledge that there's something going on in some sort of temporal, you know, somehow we're blending. So like the some sort of interdimensional, whatever. But I'm good. And I just don't necessarily have the time unless I'm inviting it. And right now, I'm not inviting it. I'm sorry. Like, I just need you to let me be. It's just not a good time right now.
Yeah.
I've had my moments.
Yeah, I mean, I'd expect that you wouldn't like ask for ghost stories on a podcast unless one has one's own.
I do, and actually, the week of Halloween, I finally posted mine. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to go back.
Please do. Yeah, it takes place in Connecticut, in my childhood
ancestral home.
Yes.
The Connecticut Devonnes, you know.
Do you like movies?
Any movies. Old movies, new movies.
Bad movies.
Sad movies.
I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And I'm Rachel Corky Shank.
And together we host Screen Snark, a movie podcast for movie lovers by movie lovers.
It's a podcast dedicated to the movies that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts.
Featuring guests of a wide selection of entertainment backgrounds, performers, writers, creatives.
So please join us for the casual cinema conversation every other Monday wherever you get your podcasts.
And follow us on Twitter at screen_snark, and we'll see you at the movies. All right, we're supposed to do that bit together.
That's cool.
So obviously 2020 has been something of a bust. And your time has been obviously very split. So there's not really any like, so what have you been up to creative wise? But have you been able to find any outlet, even if it's just soothing self-satisfaction?
So I have to say that I've really been riding I barely have enough energy to keep my shit together on a day-to-day basis train. And yeah, you know, I guess like I have ideas specifically for 2 acts that I wanted to do this year. And I ordered part of a costume that came like in the beginning of March. So like it's there and it can be created.
It's lingering at you, waiting for something to happen to it.
It is. And the rhinestones are there and the trim is there. And like it's gonna happen. I just have to get off my ass and do it. But I'm also like, I guess coming to terms with the fact that I'm not as like media and tech savvy as I want to be. And I'm like, well, I should get like the tripod with the good light on it. And I should, you know, get the backdrop and try to be like an actual,
it's looking like it's going to be
for a while,
for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to get better at it, but I'm also like very it's gonna be very hard to get me over the hump.
I'm sure. I mean, we're not briefed for this. This wasn't on the list. This wasn't on the, this wasn't the plan. So it's not our fault if it doesn't lend itself to what our strengths are. There's a number of folk who are on hiatus indefinitely, and some folk who may not come back to it even after things open up. And I don't want to name names in case either I'm wrong or they do end up coming back, but not too many folk that I care a lot about who have called it a day. And it's like, I get it. I just hate it.
Yes, that. Get it, but hate it. Yeah, I do very much want to return to burlesque. And if that has to be digital for a little while, that's fine too. And you know what? Then it won't be like, oh, I don't have videos of my acts. No, all my acts just are videos. So
that's valid. And actually, that's a valid point, because that means the next availability, in theory, people should be able to say, oh, I have this, as long as they're not like, like time specific. I mean, I don't know how many Tiger King acts were created that just are. Oh
God. Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know, like the act that I've been wanting to do is another sing and strip, and it's like very like classic musical theater and classic burlesque, which is not like normally my thing, but like I want to do a big sparkly fuck off act for once in my life. And this was gonna be the year.
It was gonna be everybody's year.
Yeah. I know. So like
there was that meme, but we were this close to getting our shit together. I know.
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't know. And like I don't know about like, the whole thing like, oh, I did my first festival in 2019, and like I want to do another one. And I'm like, well, what are festivals right now? And like I appreciate like everybody like doing the digital thing, and like that is, you got to keep it going. But I guess I'm just not ready yet. So I don't know.
You could just sort of support as you can. Like that's the thing. Also, it's is seeing my friends doing stuff. It's still cool. It's still cool. And then I can just hit that share button, or I can like it, or I can watch it if it time works out. But it's obviously it's not going to be the same, but nothing is the same, and nothing.
No, exactly.
It's been not the same before.
That's true as well. Yeah, the good old days.
It wasn't
whatever they were. Yeah. I did enjoy seeing a Femme Appeal werewolf over the last couple of days. I do remember seeing that on the Facebooks. So thank you for that, providing that as well. Yes. But yeah, I don't know. Like you haven't heard the last of Sweet and Low, but 2020, I'm taking a mulligan for this year.
Listen, I think we all deserve it. Yeah. And then of course the scary thing, I guess, is also just the uncertainty of what 2021, not just socially, not just politically, but health-wise, and just, if anything, this pandemic didn't necessarily create a billion problems. It created some problems and exposed the existing billion problems.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very much exposing the bad shit that's been happening for a while, but everybody was glad to, gloss over it.
Well, it's because it wasn't, it was easy enough to brush aside, but it showed the nation was really fucked. It showed, the service industry is really fucked. I am amazed and appalled that I know that there are people who haven't gotten stimulus. I didn't get a stimulus. There are folk who are really upset that that they haven't come to yet another agreement. It is appalling that we have service workers out there and minimum wage isn't even temporarily heightened.
I know.
It is amazing that's not even temporarily heightened. And I don't know how you get excited about going to work and having to put a mask on for a bunch of brunch eaters. Like, I don't know how to do that.
No, I don't get it. And that's just,
the selfishness of our nation is sort of.
Oh God, so selfish. between like the fucking, give us haircuts people back in April or whenever it was. And now it's no, we want to sit inside. It's like, I mean, is it worth like, don't even get me started, but like,
I don't know how you get excited about eating inside. Like, I don't know how you go and enjoy your meal without that just constantly eating away at your head.
Yeah,
no. I don't know how I don't know. But then again, like, that's just how my anxiety works. And I don't know, I guess it just shows how different neurotypical folk can, ignore that and just sort of disassociate. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know either. I've seen more than a few like social media posts from like, Facebook friends that I still talk to, like people I actually know in real life. And they're like, yeah, I'm not, that is not even a thing that I'm thinking of right now. That just sounds like a nightmare for everybody. Why would we do this? It's like, I'm fine ordering takeout, like, going somewhere, picking something up and leaving or sitting outside. Okay, fine. Yeah, but like, there's still too much we're not doing. And there's still like a lot of things that people just aren't really sure about, medically about, like what the disease does and how best to fight it. And, throw on a mask and, take it off to chew food inside with other people who have to be there because it's their job. It's like,
I know.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So my lesson is somehow marry a Canadian. I don't know. That's what I've led. If I wasn't a worthless American, if you don't have one
now, I don't know if it's and be easy to get one. You sort of have to have already gotten one by now.
It's a buyer's market, I'll tell you. But
before I let you go and have you enjoy the rest of your evening, I've been always curious because as we know, since we are staying home, hopefully, and we are acknowledging the fact that our entertainment is, on a screen in a box or what have you. Have you been exploring any new series or things that you may want to recommend or let me know that is awesome?
Ooh, that is. Oh, yes. Actually, I will talk to you about something I saw just last night I know Amazon Prime is evil, but actually the pandemic was the thing that finally got me to get Prime, not for the delivery, although I've been using it, but for the extra programming because I don't have cable and it was like only Netflix, but Netflix gets tired after a while.
I mean, Amazon Prime with the streaming, at least there's not like a warehouse involved. So there's a little
exactly. Yeah, there's a little bit of more of an ethical like release from that. But they have Jim Henson's Storyteller from like the early 90s. Remember that? I remember that back in the day. Oh my God. Yeah. So it's Jim Henson, but it's more like the Labyrinth Jim Henson, which is kind of like cheeky and probably a little bit too old for children.
But Muppet related.
Yes, there are creatures. It's all the Creature Shop. And so it's like actually, I don't remember. It might be a man in the first one, but it's literally been 30 years since I've seen it. But they have two. There's one that's the Storyteller, which I think is mostly European fairy tales, if I remember correctly. Slightly dark, slightly spooky.
Sure.
But it's like a guy and his dog, and the dog is a creature and it talks and does puppet stuff. So it's the comic relief. They also have one that we watched last night specifically for the Greek myths, starring Michael Gambon as the Storyteller, and
that would be
they
the
do
second Dumbledore.
Exactly, the second Dumbledore. For those who are taking
the one who yells
at
home. Harry, but the Goblet of Fire.
Exactly. Yes. And he's very like rugged looking. He has like unshaven, like 5 o'clock shadow, and like he's wearing like a toga and looking angry about it. Like he's very moody, but also still very Shakespearean, telling the story of Icarus falling to his death. So like very dark, but also like cool monsters and lots of cool like puppetry effects. So I recommend that.
I'll write that
if you're looking for that. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm not sure what. I mean, now is the time. I mean, this is a really good time for networks and old movies and to like just get the deals done. Just get released. Just make it available. People will watch. Exactly. Get those residuals. Just make the deal.
Yeah.
So, and I saw a little bit of that with the Halloween selections. Some of them were a little bit more off the beaten path. I saw a lot more like series all available at once as opposed to just like the third one.
Right.
But I mean, obviously it gets difficult when it comes to like merchandising, and studios in the 80s and the 70s and 60s and beyond weren't planning for streaming. So there's always going to be, you know, licensing issues and stuff like that. But I have too many. Between my husband and I, we pay for, what do we have? We have Hulu, we have Netflix, we have HBO Max, new edition, Disney Plus, because there's a Hulu Disney Plus deal.
Oh, okay.
I had Shudder for a while, but I canceled it because 2 months went by and I hadn't watched anything.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, I just need to not.
Yeah. We were considering Shudder as well, but
I did
eventually
splurge on Broadway HD, and I'll see how long that I'll hold on to that one.
Oh, is that like shows from the stage?
Shows that have been filmed from the stage. So like, I recently watched the Angela Lansbury and is it Len Cariou? I don't remember, but it's the stage. It's the touring cast of Sweeney Todd that they recorded for broadcast on like PBS. It has a bunch of stuff like that was made for PBS. It has like Company and the Elaine Stritch one woman show and then also like some archive stuff. It's decent. It's got what was so good. I saw Audra McDonald as Billie Holiday, and it was so good. Yeah. Devastating, but so good. I just don't know how that voice came. I know Audra McDonald's voice, and I don't know how that came out of her. But that was such a great recreation. That was really good. Check. You don't have it, but I was gonna say if you end up getting it, or if I happen to sneak you a link, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be lovely.
Well.
Yeah.
I don't know what's to come, but here's to whatever that may be.
Exactly. Yeah. Let me get my giant like water bottle. Look at this thing.
Clink.
It's ridiculous. Clink. Yeah.
And cheers to us. Cheers to you for getting over familial sickness and then your own sickness. That's got to be terrifying.
Yes. And thank you.
That you remain healthy and that the people you love and know remain healthy as well. And we get the hell over this. And then
exactly. Same to you. Yeah.
One day, someday, as Diana Ross once said, we'll be together.
We'll be together. Exactly. I love it. I love it. Thank you.
In the footnotes, all the ways that people can keep up with you on the socials. And,
thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah, I must say that there was no posting in October until this weekend because I thought about doing a hospital selfie, but I just looked too bad.
Sometimes you just have to let that reality just stay in reality.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I have them in case I want to do a retrospective.
There you go. Save it for the memoir.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, but not that day, kids. Not that day.
Yeah. Well, have a good
All right.
Thank you so much. Love. Mwah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bananarama?
Okay.
All right.
A band?
Yeah.
Yes. As a pastor's kid growing up in the 90s, there was a lot of mainstream entertainment that I was sheltered from.
Stephen Root, he does one of the voices.
Okay.
You know him from News Radio.
Do I?
You know him from Office Space.
Do I?
You know...
most things, really. So, now that I am an independent and out queer 30-something, I'm finally asking my friends to teach me about all the stuff I missed out on. Wait, Raffi did Beatles covers?
Yes, he did.
My mind is blown.
He did Octopus's Garden, and
Yeah, I remember Octopus's Garden.
No.
I didn't know that wasn't a Raffi original until just now. The Re-Education of Hazel Tart. Subscribe now.
Kevin Costner. He was so foxy.
I know the name, I don't know the face. I cannot. What is Kevin Costner? Can you just show me a picture of Kevin Costner's face, please?
Think of the guy,
this is hurting
not Cheech Marin, but think of the other guy in Tin Cup.
I've never seen that.